Music, television, and movies. All three of these types of media remind me of a joke line I really loved in the 1990 theatrical release, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. April only has frozen pizza to offer them as food. They all jumped at that. She says, "You guys like pizza?" They reply, "Doesn't everybody?" I love that line. Who doesn't love music, television, and movies? Number 10. All the President's Men. Released in 1976, stars Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. Based on the stories by Washington Post reporters Carl Bernstein and Bob Woodward on their investigating the infamous 1974 Watergate scandal, which led into the inner circle of President Richard Nixon's administration. I found a film so accurate, and I'm a big history buff. Even the actual security guard who found an outside door of the Watergate building latch taped to keep the door from locking was used to reenact the scene. Their hard work and diligence to find and discover who exactly was involved. This is a who, what, when, where, and why film which grabs and keeps your attention. Number 9. Platoon and Full Metal Jacket, 1986 and 1987. Released in 1986 and 1987 respectively, were deemed the most accurate depictions of experiences in Vietnam. Platoon was based on director Oliver Stone's own experiences in the war and won the Best Picture award in 1986, while Full Metal Jacket was based on a book called The Short Timers. My father liked Platoon so much he purchased the video rental store's tape used for in-store viewing rather than renting it. The opening scenes of Marine drill instructor Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, played by real-life drill instructor Lee Ermey, were so reminiscent of my father's, a Vietnam veteran, Army boot camp, and Special Forces training. The only reason I scored them as a tie at number 9, there wasn't enough room to fit other films I wanted to add to the top 10 list. Number 8. Apocalypse Now, a 1979 3-hour epic Vietnam War-based film starring Martin Sheen, sent on an unofficial assassination mission to take down a rogue colonel. This film most definitely relates and reminds me of my father's stories, a Vietnam veteran, of his covert mission into Cambodia and Laos to assassinate leaders and traitors. Number 7. The Incredibles, 2004. Pixar's 6th CGI feature-length film, starring voice acting by Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter as superheroes who get married and have children. Growing up on the superhero compilation cartoon The Super Friends, I viewed this as the family version of the Super Friends. This should have continued as a weekly series, rather than get a sequel film which would disturbingly be made and released 18 years later. Since other cartoons of the past had daily episodes, I don't understand why this took years. Number 6. The Hunt for Red October, 1990. Starring Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin. About a Russian nuclear weapons submarine captain who decides to defect to the United States. A great cast, soundtrack composing score, internal submarine scenes, location scenes, plot, script, and political intrigue made this something I could repeatedly watch. This film was so popular months after release that it was still in some theaters when it was released on VHS. Number 5. Goodfellas, 1990. This violent gangster film was popular and classic, and considered a critical hit and culturally significant because it was based on true events. It starred Ray Liotta as Henry Hill on his true life story as a kid, doing errands for the Lucchese crime family capo boss Paul Vario in a New York City neighborhood of Brooklyn during the 1960s and 70s. Also starring Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Paul Sorvino, and Lorraine Bracco. I felt I could relate to Henry's life growing up and those who he associated with, not in a criminal but vague and while kind of corrupt and definitely not drug-related situations, but I won't go into details on that. My mother agreed with my point of view on this. Number 4. Grease 2, 1982. Starring Michelle Pfeiffer, Maxwell Caulfield, and Adrian Zmed. A sequel to the 1978 mega hit and classic musical. A great cast, which includes several reprising their roles from the 1978 film. This film was unfairly, if not criminally, slammed by critics for being a poor sequel. I thought the casting, script, and soundtrack were fantastic. The situations, characters, and plot really grabbed my attention. It really reminded me of my own high school years. Number 3. War Games, 1983. a film starring Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy. Spoiler alert. A teen kind of sort of mouths off in class to get in trouble enough to be deliberately sent to the principal's office so he can find access to the high school computer to change his grades. While reading an ad for a new computer company and their new products, he tries hacking to pre-play the games before they're marketed. But after finding a backdoor access, he discovers a hidden or lost computer AI, artificial intelligence. But while playing a specific game, the AI causes the government to think a Russian nuclear attack is coming. This film is among the first to not only popularize computers in the mainstream, it also caused my fascination into computers. I always thought Matthew Broderick reminded me of myself during my school years. Number 2. Let It Ride, 1992. A film starring Richard Dreyfuss, Terry Garr, Jennifer Tilly, and David Johansen. Two cab drivers, former or current horse racing gamblers. One of them records two men talking about a horse that can't lose. The entire film from start to finish, which includes tons of foul language which helps the script and situations, was interesting, unbelievably funny, and seemingly shows life and environment in horse race betting. Number 1. Convoy, 1978. This film will always be my lifetime favorite film. First, because my father was a CB-ear, a citizen band radio user as most everyone was in the 1970s. He brought home a 33 1/3 single record of C.W. McCall's 1976 one-hit wonder he found in a Kmart store, and we couldn't stop playing it. I believe we first watched it on the HBO cable channel in early to mid-1980s. In 1989, my father found a rental store that had the movie on VHS cassette tape. We copied it, and just like the single record, we couldn't stop watching it. I fell in love with this film so much I memorized every line from every character from beginning to end.